So if you do have a question or something that you would like answered, please feel free to interrupt, to ask us, to ask the students, to ask admissions. So we've got the whole thing kind of covered. So let me go a little bit about the Department of Instructional Design and Technology. And if you want, if you could introduce yourself in the chat and just say hi and where you're from, that would be awesome as well. But let me go ahead and get started as you do that. So we're going to talk a little bit about what is instructional technology. That our program is instructional design and technology. So I want to talk a little bit about what it is and how it works. And then can we see it in action? Certainly you can. We're going to show you a couple examples of what instructional technology is and how that works. And then finally, who does instructional technology? So we'll talk about that. We've got Courtney from Westchester. We've got Jen from Lancaster. So welcome, welcome, welcome from Pennsylvania here. Well represented, Nazareth. We've got second grade teacher, Julia, outside of Philadelphia. Brooke, Texas. Okay, Sharon, awesome to have you with us. Valerie from Penn State area, State College. Brian from Pittsburgh, awesome. So I grew up near Pittsburgh. My son went to Penn State. I've been to Texas. I've been to Philly. So a couple of those places seem pretty recognizable. But so again, if you have a question, just type it in the chat. So, but I want to talk about what our program does. So our program is about designing effective instruction using the latest technology and helping the students learn about the field. So we're a master's program in instructional design and technology, and we focus on helping people gain deep knowledge of the field of instructional design and technology. And so, how do we do that? What's our process? So let's talk about that a little bit. So basically, one of the things that everybody thinks about is, technology. So we use technology, but it's not all about technology. Technology is a piece of what we use, and technology as processes. So certainly we cover technology, all kinds of technology, but that's not what we're all about. We're really about online learning and teaching, which is part of instructional technology. So the pandemic forced us all through online learning. We weren't prepared for it. We weren't ready for it. One day we left the class, stand up, and the next day we had to start doing online. So if that's your vision of online instruction, that's not exactly what we do. We create interactive, dynamic, online learning experiences. And we do that by following a basic instructional design model. And we talk about other models in the program, so we're not just this model, but this is a good overall framework. We talk about analyzing the situation, designing, then developing, implementing, and evaluating. So that's sometimes called the ADDIE model: analysis, design, development, implementation, and evaluation. If you've been doing any research, there's some complaints about the ADDIE model. So we also teach the SAM model, successive approximation model. We also talk a little bit about the Dick and Carey model. So there's lots of different models of designing instruction, but this is a generic model. It's used in a lot of different places. It's a good foundation. And I always like to say, there's a phrase that's been attributed to Picasso. He didn't really say it, but I want to believe that he said it. But it says, learn the rules like a professional so you can break them like an artist. And so that's what we do in the program. We teach you the fundamental rules of designing instruction and then encourage you to break them like an artist. So in Analyze, that's where you find out like the needs of the learning, what needs to be learned, who needs to learn it. We figure that out. Then we talk about the design of the instruction. What should it look like? How should it function? What are instructional strategies? And I think design is very, very important. I just recently wrote a blog post on LinkedIn about the importance of design and why you need to think about design. And then you can develop it. This is where you use the tools. This is where AI can come in to help develop some instruction, to help develop some graphics and some other elements that you can add to your instruction. All of our major tools are getting AI injections, so there's AI kind of all over the field. Implement means, how do we make this instruction work at a company or a school or an organization. So we talk a little bit about change management. We talk about how to put all this together. And then finally, we want to know if it works. That's evaluation. And the really cool thing about the ADDIE model and why I like to talk about it is because each one of these, analyze, design, develop, implement, or evaluation, is a career. So if you want to spend your entire life analyzing, you can do that. Designing, you can do that. You can do a focus, or you can be more a broad stroke, and you can do some analysis, design, development, implementation, and evaluation. Our students go on to start their own companies. They go on to become project managers. They go on to earn their doctoral degrees. They go on to manage training departments. So they go on to do a lot of really cool things based on this structured approach really to solving problems. And what skills do you need to do this? Well, thinking, innovating, communicating, great liberal arts background. If you've got liberal arts, some people call those power skills, but if you've got those liberal arts skills, it's a great fit for the program. If you have analytical skills, like if you're a history major, philosophy major, those are great skill sets to have as well to bring to the program. Also, teamwork and a team player. Everything that we do in this program is comes back to eventually teams. Everything we do in the field is about teams. So teamwork works really well. Creativity. Some of the best students we've ever had have been music majors. We've got some really clever, smart, analytical, creative music majors. We have art majors. We have theologians. We've had all kinds of undergraduate degrees come into our program. And that's what makes it so exciting, because you'll work with a diverse group of people thinking about creating instruction. So you're going to get lots of different ideas and concepts, and it's going to help you problem solve. So all these skills are skills that are effective for our program. Now, notice one skill I didn't mention, and that's technology. So we're not a programming program. So if you understand how to use Excel, you understand how to use PowerPoint, you understand how to use Word, you can use the tools that we use. Now, if you know a little bit more, if you come from a programming background, we've certainly had a bunch of computer programmers come through and continue to come through the program, you can take it up a notch. You can take it up a level. That's one neat thing about this program is your interest, your passion, your creativity can be followed in different levels. If you really are more of an artist, you can do one thing. If you are more of a writer, you can do the writing. If you're more of a programmer, you can do the programming. So there's lots of different ways that you can go and electives you can take. Now, the field in general is blowing up ever since the pandemic. I used to say, we were one of the best kept secrets, but now the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics projects a 10% increase in job outlook by 2026. The median annual salary is $64,000. Now, we've had students leave our program making a lot more than $64,000. We've had students leave our program making less than $64,000. It depends an awful lot on what job you go after and what industry that you happen to be in. So, for example, you want to go high tech, you want to work for Tesla, you're going to Yahoo. Let's see, where else our students work? Amazon, Google. Those are going to be higher salaries. If you're going to go work for a non-government agency, Pennsylvania Coalition Against Domestic Violence or Pennsylvania Coalition Against Rape, if you go work for the Department of Public Welfare, those are going to be a little bit lower salaries. So you can decide, it's your fate where you want to go, what you want to do. There are value in all of those, right? You want a high-tech kind of fast-paced environment. You want to have an environment where you can help people make a difference. It's up to you, but the nice thing is this grounding gives you that platform to jump off to different opportunities. How does our program work? Well, it's a year-long program. It's a graduate level program. It includes hands-on software experience. We have on-campus, and we have also online, so you can take 100% online. We have virtual assistantships and 2 tracks. And Dr. Briskin, do you want to say anything more about this
Yeah,
or take a little
I'm
deeper?
actually, do you mind if I share my screen for a second?
Not at
So
all. Go right
yeah,
ahead.
so I do have the two plans up here to show you the difference between the two different tracks and as well as the two different certificates. So with our two different tracks, there is a slight variation of the different courses that you will take. So you'll see a similarity in some of the required core courses. So the corporate track or the learning experience designer are for individuals that are more interested in working in the corporate sector, higher education, as well as anywhere I would say more with the adult population. The education sector is, you can still work with the adult population, but more that you are working in the K through 12 industry. So that can be an instructional technology specialist where you're working in the classroom with teachers, or you're a teacher yourself that want to learn a little bit more about technology that you can use in the classroom. So the plan that I have up here is for the corporate sector. The crossover that you will see that all students, no matter what track that you will take, is the instructional design course, the multimedia, and then the intro to web. The one variation that you'll start to see here is the intro to authoring and then the advanced authoring course. Both tracks do take the advanced ID course, and then we have two different capstone classes. So our capstone on the learning experience designer track is the managing e-learning projects class. And then I'll show you here in a second on our education track. And then you have an internship or a thesis option on either track. I will say about 90 to 95% of our students do go with the internship option just because upon graduation, it does help with your job placement. So most of our students that are interested in working upon graduation do go after the internship. Some students that are interested in going after a PhD sometimes go after the thesis to help work on some of the writing skills that you would have with your PhD. And then you'll see here is a listing of all of our electives. So right now you would select 3 of those elective options. And then over here, I'm going to switch my Zoom screen is blocking the top part of it. And then our education track, you can see there is some crossover, that instructional design, multimedia, intro to web. Then the difference, since you don't take the authoring and then that advanced authoring, you take a class in tech planning, tech applications, and then a research course. And then again, you get to select 3 elective courses. We also have 2 certificates. Many students opt into getting the certificates along the way. So for example, with our e-learning certificate, we can gear your electives so that you can just add on the certificate. Some students are just interested in taking the certificate, so they start, but I will say that a lot of people end up also just adding the master's along the way. So our certificate is the e-learning certificate is 4 classes, a total of 12 credits. So if you notice here, the intro to authoring and the online course design are the 2 required classes, and then 2 electives. So for example, if you're on the learning experience designer class track, you would take the intro to authoring, which is a required course, and then instructional design, multimedia, intro to web are already classes that you're taking. So one of your 3 electives would just be online course design. So it is something that you can easily add on to your course plan. And then we have our instructional game design cert, which is 5 classes. This is one more than our e-learning cert. So if you, again, are in the learning experience designer track, you would just gear your 3 electives towards the instructional game design, scenario-based learning, and then the instructional game design, scenario-based learning, and the gamification course, since you're already taking the intro to authoring and then the advanced authoring. If you're on the education track, again, you would just gear your 3 electives towards this plan. With the learning experience designer, you could take all of your electives just towards the certificate. It would just be 1 extra class with the game design certificate. So we have 2 different tracks and 2 different certificates. They are both 10 classes plus either an internship or the thesis option. Typically, if a student is going full-time, a full-time student does take 3 classes, which equals out to 9 credits a semester. A part-time student typically takes 1 to 2 classes a semester. Our classes run year-round, fall, spring, and summer. Actually, this semester we are offering a fall class that Dr. Kopp is teaching on AI. So he is running a special course, a special topics class. So sometimes we actually do have classes that run every single semester. Our classes are typically held in the evening, so from 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we do actually have students all over the world. We've had students in Luxembourg, China, really everywhere. So they will figure it out with their schedule. We do have students on the East Coast, West Coast, everywhere. But all of our classes, again, are 6 to 9 p.m. during the evening. We do have some classes that are asynchronous. There are only a few of them, but most of our classes are held synchronously online. So you do have to be on Zoom at night with your professors. So those are a little bit about the two different tracks as well as the two different certificates. So I will let Dr. Kopp go back to our PowerPoint here.
Perfect. So next, we talk about the focus of our program. So our program always is focused on 4 areas. One is research and development. So as Dr. Briskin said, we're looking at the elements of AI and how that's impacting the field right now and what that means. I'm involved with some really interesting research around helping child care workers recognize child abuse. We're using some microlearning and gamification techniques. We are developing some really interesting projects for some startups and I've created some instruction for them. So we're always doing interesting and kind of neat research and development. We're always marketing and recruiting, and this is what this is a part of, to let people know about our wonderful program. And we have lots of corporate partnerships and strategic alliances. So Dr. Briskin and I, a few weeks ago, did a really great webinar with Beyond, which is a really interesting software for animation. We did that in conjunction with what they're doing. So we help them teach their users a little bit about their project. In turn, they provide us with discounts on their software. So you're using in our program the exact same software that they're using in the field. You're using Storyline, you're using Adobe products, you're using Beyond, you're using the tools that are used in the field. So when our students go into organizations, oftentimes they know a little bit more about the tools than even the people that have been there for a while, because they are not always up to date on the latest tools. And that's also ties into the state of the industry, hardware and software. So we've got goggles. If you come to campus, we have goggles that you can use if you're taking a AR, VR course. Our students also win awards. Our students have won, we go to an industry conference every year called DevLearn, hosted by the Learning Guild. And we have won, our students have won 7 years in a row, the student category. Every year we go, we win the student category. One year, Tyler actually did one with mobile augmented reality, which was really kind of interesting. This year we had Brittany, and Brittany won with a side-scrolling platform game to teach language skills. So she was the 7th student in a year in a row to win. We did take a break for COVID, but we got right back at it, and that's Mark Fritz, the president of the Learning Guild. But we also this year, very unexpectedly, but very delightedly, won another award, and we won the award for Best Vendor in Show, Best in Show Non-Vendor Award. What that means is we competed, our student there, Jessica, competed with organizations. So if you have like a Liberty Mutual, or if you have a Merck Pharmaceutical, or if you have a large company, they have their internal learning and development professionals who create instruction for their employees. We won. So we're very proud of that. The Mark couldn't believe it. He came up to us and said, Carl and Jessica, get ready, your student's about to win. And we're like, well, yeah, our student, is right up on stage. And he's like, no, you won another category. And we're like, oh my goodness. So we're very proud of the fact that our students not just hold their own against other academic institutions, they're able to hold their own in the field by themselves. So one of the questions we often get is, will I have a portfolio when I graduate from this program? The answer is yes. Now, every class gives you the opportunity to create a showcase piece that you can then put on the web and show it off. We don't have a specific class called how to make a portfolio because every class gives you a piece. We teach you how to create a website. Bloomsburg gives you website real estate, so you can create your portfolio there, or you can create your portfolio on another website. But all the pieces and parts you need for your portfolio, you will develop in classes. And if you don't create your portfolio, that's an opportunity that's missed. Now, we also do tons of projects. We do website development projects. We do training workshops, distance learning courses. We do a lot of projects for a lot of different groups on campus and off campus. So you have lots of chances to get, I hate this term, but real world experience. Actually, the real answer is you have experience working with clients. So when you leave our program, you will have developed some kind of instructional activity, event, course, module, micro-learning, game for a client. So you'll get all the excitement of working with the client and all of the headaches of working with the client, but you will have that experience under guided supervision. So it's a mentorship. It's a way of you coming into the field, understanding what's required to be successful and guided by people who have been in the field for a while and who have done a number of projects and understand what it's like to create successful e-learning projects. You also have a class called Managing E-Learning Projects. It's a class that I teach. It's the capstone course of the program, one of two capstone courses. And one of the interesting things about this course is we give you a request for proposal, a mock request for proposal, and then you are put into a team and you are asked then to respond. You have to write a written sales document. You have to prepare a budget. You have to prepare an instructional plan. You go through that entire process, understanding what it takes to do that. Then you get to present in front of a group of industry professionals. So it's not Dr. Kopp saying, oh, I didn't like that, or oh, that wasn't good. It's industry professionals saying, wow, that's an interesting perspective. I'm not sure I would have done that. Or wow, I never thought that was possible. Good job. So that's kind of the process that you go through. We literally just did it a couple weeks ago. Or was it last week? 2 weeks ago. And we had about 30 alums and industry professionals sign up as corporate advisory council members who give advice and information to our students. We have a 3-day event. The first day, the corporate advisory council people give presentations to us, to the students, to the fellow corporate advisory council members. So they do presentations on things like AI, empathetic learning design, measuring the effectiveness of training, like really leading edge topics in the field. And then on the next day, the Thursday, that's when the students present their 20-minute sales presentation, their working prototype. And on Friday is when the students get a chance to show off their graduate assistant projects and interview for internships. So we don't get you an internship. You've got to get your own internship, but we bring internship providers to campus. We set up interviews with you and the internship provider. So we make it as easy as possible. The only thing we can't do is sit in the interview and get the internship for you, but we make it as easy as possible for you to get your internship. We actually have a full-time person named Adam Creasy, and Adam's job is to help get internships, bring them to campus. And this year we have internships at all kinds of really interesting places. One of them includes Yahoo. So they're coming to interview some of our students for possible internships this summer. So we do bring companies to campus, to our students, and give you that opportunity. We're kind of like the matchmakers. I already talked about this exercise, the CAC members, you get working prototypes. And that brings us to discussion/demonstration. I always think
So
it's one thing. Oh, go ahead, Dr.
yeah, I
Bristol.
was gonna say one thing before we go to the discussion. We've mentioned GAs a lot, so I do want to talk a little bit about the GA program. So within our department, one thing that is really special that we have are GAs. So GAs are graduate assistants, and as a graduate assistant, you work for the department. So another part of our department is we have something called the Institute for Interactive Technologies, which is another, I call it the ARM, which is where you get to do real world projects for different organizations. So the three students we have here actually current GAs. One of them was a GA last semester, now doing part of her internship for us as well. But as a GA, instead of just doing research or grading papers, what you would think of as a graduate assistant, you're actually doing real projects. When I mean developing training, writing scripts, working with audio, developing in the tools. So you get that real world experience and then also portfolio pieces. As a graduate assistant, you do need to be a full-time student. So that is taking 3 courses. As a full-time student, we will pay for, we will pay for 2 out of your 3 classes. And then we will also give you a small stipend. So it is a really nice program that we do offer. We do offer that for fall, spring, and summer sessions. So it is year round. We do typically have between 8 to 10 GAs a semester. So that is a large number that we do provide. If the earlier you apply to the program, it is something that is important to it because with the GAs, they are selected pretty early in the process. So for example, we already have selected our spring GAs. They are selected a semester early. So then come us around, I think it's like February, March timeframe, we will select our summer GAs. So the earlier you apply to the program, that opportunity, you'll be eligible then to apply for that semester. So if there's any questions about the GAs, you can definitely put that in the chat box, or I will have our graduate assistants here talk about what their experiences were like as a GA. So something that definitely to consider if you're able to work full-time, able to go to school full-time, meaning take 3 classes. It is a little bit harder if you are working full-time just because you do have to be available during the day. Since we are working with real clients, there are meetings that you will attend, you'll be working with your peers on different projects. So you do have to be available for meetings and such. So again, you'll be working 10 hours per week. We will pay for 2 out of your 3 classes, as well as getting a small stipend. Yes, and if there's any questions, we can begin the discussion. I'm going to start a question. We have our GAs here. So I was going to actually open it up to them first to kind of talk about their experiences. So the question that I was going to have for Valerie, Melissa, and Sarah, and if we can kind of go down the line, if you can talk maybe about your experience as a GA and maybe your favorite class that you have taken, and maybe why it was your favorite class.
I'll go. Actually, my favorite class was the multimedia because I loved, we get introduced to about, I don't know, 7 or 8 different tools, including things like Camtasia, Audacity. We do a podcast, we create a video, we learned Adobe Photoshop, which I'm not, my background is not in graphic design. So that was a really great course for me because I was starting to feel very like unsure of my own sort of graphic ability. So that was definitely my favorite class. And then being a GA, actually, I was a GA for 2 semesters with a research professor, which was very, very different. That's for a much more typical what you might think of a GA. I did a lot of writing, a lot of editing. And then Dr. Briskin said, no, you have to do, if you're planning to go out there into the real world, if you're going to be a GA, you should come and do something at the Institute. And that has been fabulous. I did a GA during the summer and I work full time. So it's kind of hard you have to make 3 blocks of 2 hours during the week. But my bosses were very understanding. I just started earlier in the morning and finished later at night, and I take my 2-hour blocks during the day. You learn so much, like in real life stuff, meeting with clients, listening with clients, I'm a good talker, but I didn't have any experience of sort of listening to clients thinking, oh, what are they talking about? Okay. That was great, very interesting. And I've learned a ton of practical application. So not, how to take the stuff you learn in class and actually apply it to the stuff that you're creating, the strategies and the learning. So I think it's been a brilliant experience.
Yeah, I completely agree with Valerie on one of my favorite classes being multimedia, but it's a cross between multimedia and intro to ID, because there's this balance of putting your work into practice by designing and developing, but also that intro to ID course really provides you with the research and theories to back up the learning experiences that you're creating. I can't emphasize enough that this program really provides you a strong balance between theory and practice. And I guess, the biggest reason why multimedia sticks out to me on top of Intro to ID is because that was the scariest part of growing into this field personally for me. I came in like, oh, I'm never going to be able to know how to edit a video or audio. And believe me, you're going to be able to figure it out. These professors are wonderfully supportive in that process. And I am also a GA. So I currently have 3 classes. So I'm full-time plus the 10 hours. I do a little part-time work, but I will say, it would be difficult to be full-time. And I've really enjoyed it because I'm working with real life clients, as well as building a lot of soft skills when it comes to working as a team, really working with providing feedback to team members, supporting them along the process of each phase as we build meaningful learning opportunities.
Hey, yeah, so it's hard to pick a class. I really enjoyed all of them, and I'm not just saying that because our professors are here. But actually the reason that I chose this program, which might sound silly, is I was excited they had a visual design aspect. So I love that class. It was something that I was sort of interested in from a distance, but it's really helped when we're building these designs. It's not just about making the content in a way that is easy for the learners to, contemplate and retain, but it's also, making that user experience good. And I found that visual design really helped with that. That was a really exciting class for me. I also enjoyed a lot of the gaming ones. I have a game programming background, and so I actually took both certificates, so I can say they're both worthwhile. So a lot of the instructional game design classes were a lot of fun because games are fun. So I mean, just the theory and everything and bring it all together. It's really satisfying to go from an empty slate. In the GA program, you're working with a client. They have an idea for the training they want, but we really, from the bottom up, build the training. So it's not just you're working on a small aspect of it. You really get to see it grow, and you really get to involve yourself with the input and the look and the feel of it. So it's just a really wonderful way to apply the skills that they've given you. And I just feel the entire time, not only in class, but as a GA, the professors really care about you and growth as a person. So I really appreciated the good feedback, but also the critical feedback that has made me better as a designer. So if you get the opportunity to work as a GA, we've worked with companies like Penske, Zoetis, like Dr. Kopp was talking about before, PCAR, the Pennsylvania Coalition Against Rape. So a variety of clients, and it's just been a wonderful experience. So definitely sign up for that.
Yeah, and I would just like to add that I did roughly a year of interviewing and researching multiple colleges across the nation, and I picked Bloomsburg for a reason. And that reason was primarily because they truly prepare you to be an intentional instructional designer.
Cool, thanks. Hey, Dr. Briscoe, are we going to show any examples?
Yeah. Do you want to show our examples, or do you guys want to show some of your favorite projects first, and we can show some of the GA work? Do you have any of your favorite projects from class that you want to show?
Yeah,
Okay. Valerie, you want to start?
sure.
I think you have to stop sharing, Dr.
Yeah.
Cup.
Okay, yeah.
Sometimes it's so these are different projects from, I'm assuming Valerie, this is from a class.
Do you want me to
Or
show the
DevLearn.
Irish one? I can show my game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
that's
a great one, yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I got
And how many students are there full-time in the program? In the different core courses? What, would you say about 100 at any given time? Across.
Yeah, across at any.
So can you see that screen?
So we can.
I can see your screen, yes.
You can, okay. So this is the game that I just presented at DevLearn.
Top of the morning to you. Many people have Irish ancestry and want to visit Ireland. But how much of what you think you know about Ireland is accurate? For instance, should you ever actually say, top of the morning to you? Please don't. That's Hollywood's idea of how we talk. Just say hi. In Ireland, do you know which way to look when you cross the road? We drive on the other side, so you have to look right, then left, or it could end badly. How about the language? No, not the Irish language. I mean Irish language. You're going to hear a lot of it, so be prepared. And speaking of language, you might hear the word crack quite a bit. Do not panic. In Ireland, crack means fun. In fact, English in Ireland has a lot of words that may leave you guessing. Why not challenge yourself and see just how much you really know about Ireland and the Irish?
And then it goes into the game. And this is all developed in Storyline, which is something that we learn in Intro to Authoring. And then it just goes through some basic questions to see if you know some of these answers or not. And as you can see, you earn a bit of gold if you get it right. And then it just goes through different levels. So that was the game that I developed. DevLearn.
Thanks, Valerie. Very nice.
They had a question for you, Valerie. Was that done all in Storyline?
So now that's a combination of several different media. It started out with a Beyond video, which I did in the whiteboard. So Beyond has several different types, color, animation, what we would think of as animated video. It actually took me about 25 hours to figure out how to do whiteboard storyboarding, because that's completely different. You need to make, and because DevLearn, you're presenting in a huge convention hall and there's lots of loud noise and people drinking and shouting and talking, your video has to stand without any audio. I mean, I did actually bring a little Bluetooth speaker so you could hear the music, but you couldn't necessarily always hear the words. So the storyboard, the whiteboard has to be actually enough without an audio. Then the little animated, the whole thing is in Storyline. So you embed the Beyond video into Storyline, and then the little animated figures, I connected the Beyond whiteboard by using GIFs that I pulled out of Beyond, removed the background from so that they became transparent figures, and then they could walk around inside my storyline. And then the rest of it is just images that they're all actually articulate images. I didn't have to go and find other images. And the rest of it is, it's the very standard. I didn't use anything. There's no programming in that. There's no JavaScript. That's just basically storyline, variables, triggers, and layers. And their own quiz banks, their own question banks that I customized.
Excellent. Thank you, Valerie. Excellent project. I just want to answer this one question live, and then Melissa, if you want to show your project. So there's a question around what software we use in the program. So we use a lot of different software. So for example, in our Intro to Authoring class, you will learn how to use Articulate Suite. So Rise and Storyline, and then we also teach Captivate. We are also looking at bringing in Lectora, and then in multimedia, you learn how to use Camtasia, Beyond, Photoshop, Audacity, Snagit, Adobe Express now, and then Adobe Firefly. And then if you take visual design, you will learn how to use Adobe Illustrator. In the VR classes, you're using, which ones are you using, Dr. Kopp, in the VR? AR over the summer? You're using
so Adobe Aero one. We explore LearnBright. We take a dip into even Second Life. That's still around. People don't believe it, but it's still around. Yeah. And we also are talking to eLearning Brothers about using Scenario VR as a tool in that class as well.
And then Dr. Dole, who's not here, we do have an advanced gaming course for those that are interested in Unity. He teaches that as an independent study. So we've had a few students take that course as well. So there's a lot of different technology that you will use.
And now just let me add that I am 61. And I didn't have any problem learning these technologies. So I can do it. So can anybody else.
And then the next question is, there any focus on ILT? So yes, in instructional design, in our intro course, we do go over ILT versus virtual instructor-led training. So all encompassing. And then in your advanced instructional design course, depending on your project that you are doing, you might have to have components of instructor-led training as well as virtual-led trainings. It really depends on what your client's needs are. So yes, it is embedded into some of our coursework.
Yeah, and even other tools. I mean, so in one of our instructional design projects, we're using iSpring.
Yeah.
And I also go over a tool called Branch Track and Construct 3. And so almost every course is a little bit of theory and then hands-on with the tools. So you've got tools and theory both under your belt when you graduate.
And then we also go into, it's before you even touch a tool. So for example, in instructional design, we also learn how to storyboard out. So using Adobe XD, which now, with Figma, we'll see where it goes. But we also do get into using some tools before even jumping into the technology. How do you storyboard? How do you write out your scripts and all of those components as well?
Mm-hmm. And those tools, you don't have to buy them. They are part of the tuition. There is a technology fee that everybody pays. So there's no free lunch. So you are actually paying for it, but it's not extra. It's not, on top of tuition, by the way, you've got to buy these 5 tools. That's not the case at all. Comes free with your tuition, the tools that you use within the program. And we have, and part of that is because we have relationships with Articulate, with Beyond, with several other tool vendors that provide us a deeply discounted price so that we can integrate them into the program. They love to have our students use the tools because then you go out into the field and you take those tools with you. So we have a very robust and positive relationship with a number of different tool vendors.
All right. Melissa, if you want to share a project, and Sarah, if you want to have something to show.
Yeah, and just going off of what Dr. Briskin was sharing about how we also engage in prototype development using Adobe XD, I figured that'd be a great thing to show since we've seen a storyline project. So I'm just going to share my screen. So this is what the interface of Adobe XD looks like. And what's great about this is you could get a lot of the design elements fully flushed out and completed before transferring it to an authoring tool. So I still need to work on just a few more slides here before I hand it in tomorrow. But what's cool about it is I use a variety of different tools through Adobe. So just going into like my first slide. And a little bit more. I use a lot of these pictures from Adobe Firefly, and then I would integrate it into Adobe Express if I needed to make any further edits. Adobe Firefly is a great tool. It's AI generation. So I ensured that a lot of these images were replicated in a way that they follow the same look and feel to them. So I took the original picture that AI generated, and then I was able to create different ones that looked very similar based on the look and feel of the first one. So you could upload that previous picture, put in a prompt, and then you get a very similar look and feel. And there are two views, so you can use your artboard, and then there's the prototype, and that's where you can establish buttons. So when you actually play it, it will allow you to move forward, just like it would look in an authoring tool. So this would eventually become a dial because I want to transfer this over into Articulate Storyline. And it's just a really great way for you to embrace that creative side and build all aspects of that design phase before bringing it into the development phase.
Okay, so I guess it's my turn. Not really sure what to pick. I have a couple here. This one is really just showing like, so when you're talking about the tools, this was largely designed in PowerPoint. And when I say that, I mean all the pieces of equipment, all the little shapes here, I made those all in PowerPoint. This is a storyline unit, I mean, that we build it in, but this was basically just explaining scaffolding and how, you know, you want to take the learner through the process of seeing a demonstration and then being able to practice and then taking a test. So I was really pleased with how this one turned out. We get a lot of references to the equipment itself, but the learner can go through the process with this complicated, expensive piece of equipment without damaging anything. So I was really happy with how this one turned out. It was really cool. I'd love to go back. These are the only elements that we did. I'd love to go back and program this whole thing. That sounds like a lot of fun. Another thing that we did, and did you guys want to show I had the animal hospital if you wanted to?
Yeah, if you want to show that
Yeah,
project
let's do that.
as a GA, that'd be good.
So we kind of stripped out the company's logos and everything so that we could use this, but it's actually for Zoetis, who they're the largest animal pharmaceutical. And what they wanted was something to take their new hire sales individuals through so they understood how a veterinary hospital worked. So what is the staffing like? What are their roles? And the building itself, what happens in each room. So our team actually took these awesome 360 pictures that, again, we put in Storyline so that they could look around and really get the feel of it. So this is an actual animal hospital. And they're able to check and see, okay, so this is what happens in this room. You know, they can go to these little hotspots, but then they're also interacting with what would be the staff. So what you're task load like? What do you do in the hospital? What's your role? And as they go through, there's a couple ways to explore around the hospital. They can use this little map that we made, and it gives them an idea of, you know, these are the other rooms they need to explore, and just to add a little bit of gamification and fun so they can hop around that way. And it just takes them through the whole building and meeting different characters and seeing what their roles are like. So that was another one that we did, again, through the GA program. It was a lot of work, but very rewarding. And the client was very happy with the work that we did because of the skills that we gained in the program. So that's just one of those examples.
So these are all amazing projects. Thank you everyone for sharing. So we do want to leave time for if there's any other questions. I know we've been answering a lot of questions throughout the presentation, but we always do like to leave the last couple minutes for open time for if you do have any questions. Questions for our students, I think always hearing from them, especially having gone through or going through the program right now. So Sarah just graduated, Melissa's in the program, Valerie's graduating this semester. Hearing from them is always a great thing. So if you have questions for us as faculty or questions for the students, we are here to answer any of your questions.
I do
Actually,
oh, sorry.
oh,
All I was going to say was that if you needed to get a GA, you know, and let's say there was no room at the inn, there are always GA opportunities in other departments. Like, you don't have to do a GA at the institute, but that's really where you'll get the most experience. And you know, the most bang for your buck, as it were. But it doesn't have, like I said, I did 2 with a research professor, just because I'm very comfortable in the writing and research area, and I needed the tuition waiver. So,
Sure.
But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I did see a question in the chat box, and I think there's a question in the Q&A too about the application. And I do believe our graduate office has a code waiver for everyone attending today. I believe that you're going to put something in the chat box, correct? So there is an application fee that will be waived, correct? If they're going to
Correct, yeah.
correct. Okay. Yep. So there's a code waiver that we will provide to you for attending today. So that will be waived. There's a form that you do have to fill out by going to our website. We do need any of your undergraduate, graduate transcripts. So those do need to be sent to the university. We have taken down the letters of reference. So it used to be 3, it is now 2. So as long as you have 2 letters of reference, that is all that we need for that requirement. And then your personal goal statement, and then your resume or vita. What we're looking for, we always get that question, what is your goal statement about? So that's really what you're looking for from the program. What are your goals and aspirations is really helpful for us when we read through it. So when we're looking at course plans, making sure that this is the right match, and helping you decide with your tracks. So that is really what is your personal goals and career aspirations. So that is all the requirements for the program. And so there were some questions about when to apply. So again, we are on rolling admissions. So you can apply fall, spring, and summer. And you can apply at any point, but we do recommend that you apply at least 2 weeks before the start of the semester. That does help with our admissions team to make sure that you are all set to start the classes of that semester. So again, if you're looking to apply for this spring semester starts January 22nd. So 2 weeks prior to that start date, you should have all of your materials in. That just helps with our admissions team to make sure that you have everything set for that start date. I am the graduate coordinator, so I would meet with you. You would set a course plan, what you would be taking each semester. We do actually plan every single semester out till your entire program. It doesn't mean that you have to do that. You know, life happens and things change, but we do try to plan it out so you have something in place, and then we would just adjust it as needed if something does change. So if you're looking for summer, you can change your start date. I did see a question about that. You would just notify myself, or you would notify our admissions team, and we can always switch your start date. It's not too late for spring 2024. So yes, you can still apply for spring 2024. Sarah's answering that question, or you can answer it live. I see you're typing.
Yes, in fact, I think I made that decision equally this late in my final semester as an undergrad at Bloomsburg. So you can, absolutely.
If I get accepted and choose to start a later, yes. So if you can always switch your start date, you just have to let us know if you want to switch from spring to summer, or if you're a fall to a spring, whatever semester you would like to be moved to. What is the selection criteria? So we do go through, you know, what classes you've taken. So the questions we do ask, what is your experience? If you're, you know, what your experience is with the tools, your experience in the background. A lot of times, since we do have, you know, about 8 to 10 GAs a semester, sometimes it's not always, and not everyone always applies. Sometimes we have open positions. So it really, we're looking for individuals that are able to fulfill the position. So sometimes they are left unfulfilled. If I apply early, do I hear back as well, or do I hear back after the application deadline? Tom, can you answer that one?
Yeah, sorry about that. So the question was, by applying early, do you receive an earlier decision?
Yeah, yes.
Yes. So, and by the way, I'm the director of graduate admissions. Sorry, I'm kind of lurking here in the background. Yes. So we operate under a rolling admissions process. So part of that means the earlier you apply, again, the faster you would have a decision. And also, frankly, the other benefit is it allows you to start to plan your academic future a little bit earlier and start to apply for graduate assistantship sooner. So there are a lot of advantages to getting your application in sooner rather than later if you've made the decision that this is the program you would want to apply to, which, having sat through this event, why would it not be? So at least that's the advice that I would have in terms of the application process.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep.
And then I did see Juliet, a question about teachers going through the corporate track. We do actually have a lot of teachers going through the corporate track that potentially are looking to switch careers, or maybe potentially down the road go do consulting on the side. We also do have a lot of teachers that stick with the ITS track, but then get the e-learning cert along the way, because then they do get that authoring experience through the classes that they're taking. So teachers that potentially want to stick with some more of the educational focused coursework, but then also want the corporate experience, will add on the e-learning cert. But if you want more of that corporate experience, then I would say get the learning experience designer track. But to get kind of best of both worlds, you can do the ITS track plus a certificate. And you can mix and match the other way around too. So if you're doing the corporate track, then you can take electives under more of the education focus. And so that's some of the stuff that we will talk about once you're accepted into the program. We'll kind of look at your career aspirations, and then pick the electives that are best fit for you.
So I just wanted to respond. Somebody had asked me if I had a job yet, and I wanted to go back to what they were talking about earlier and just how many opportunities there are. So right now I'm working as an independent contractor and consultant, which is great because that's what I like, working on a variety of projects. I love working with different groups of people. And while I'm using a lot of the technology, so I'm mainly a developer, all of the skills that I've been taught, I'm using in the work that I'm doing right now. So we're talking theory on up. So I'm doing a lot of script writing along with the development and the tools. And a lot of my classmates, you know, they got jobs that really fit their lifestyle and their desires. And again, the professors are so great about guiding you along. They know a lot of people. And I would just say, in addition to that, you can really tell a lot about a program by the way that the alumni interact with it. And just the outreach from the alumni alone, I feel like I've met so many people that have gone through this program over the years, including at DevLearn or just in classes, who are coming back because they're grateful for the education that they received. So I just wanted to throw that in there. Yeah, I sort of have a job or a few. But yes, basically anything that you're interested in, it's out there. So yeah.
And then Tom, you might have to aid in this one too. So if you're already accepted, how long does that acceptance last for? So if does that mean that you're not sure if this semester you want to accept it?
Yeah, assuming that's the case, like let's say, for instance, if a student applied for the spring of 2024, if the student then decided that, you know what, this is not the right time for me to start, I want to bump it back to the summer of 2024, we would just need something in writing in an email saying that you would like to have your admission delayed for another semester. You would have to make that decision prior to the original semester that you were admitted for beginning. So again, if the original semester was the spring of 2024, and let's just say that starts February 1st, you would just want to make that decision prior to February 1st. These are great questions, though.
And then this will be, I believe we do have a channel, a YouTube channel that's a link, and we do post all of these sessions.
We do, yes. In addition to these virtual sessions that get recorded, I know we have interviews with Dr. Kopp and some of the either I think they're recent graduates or current students. I know we've posted some other projects that students have worked on. There's other content there too. So if this has piqued your interest, there's other videos out there that you can watch on demand. Honestly, the easiest place to go to is the IDT website. At least that's what I would suggest. Oh, and one other thing as well. Sorry, there will be a alumni panel discussion coming up in January, where again, if this is something that you're interested in and you would like to, hear a little bit more, honestly, the alumni panel discussions, present a really good opportunity to kind of go behind the scenes. That is scheduled for January 9th. So we will have official invites to go out, as we get closer to that date, and that's still a ways off. But I know Dr. Briskin and Dr. Kopp have lined up, a great group of alumni to talk more about what they, what they're doing in their career, what a day in the life might look like as an e-learning developer and instructional designer. That's another good way to learn more.
Tom, we might need to follow up with Rachel on this one. So I was accepted in the fall, would be transferring. So would I have to apply again?
You were accepted in the fall. So you were accepted as a transfer, if I'm understanding this correctly. Would you have to apply again? If you were already accepted, it would just be a process of us backdating your application, essentially. So you wouldn't have to submit a new application. If you were already admitted, all we'll do is we will just defer your enrollment to a different semester. So you wouldn't have to reapply. Yep, no problem.
And then most of all of our students currently are virtual. Right now, actually post-COVID, we have all of our classes synchronous or asynchronous online. We do have a cohort that are local to campus, but all of our classes are held virtually online. But we do have some students that are within driving distance or around campus, and then come work on campus. All of our faculty are by campus, so sometimes they'll come on campus to come talk to us or anything like that. But if you are not near campus, all of our classes are held virtually online. But you can always come by and say hi to us. We are here. Is there a limit of students per semester to usually meet? We do not have a limit of students per semester, no, usually. I think those are all the questions, right? I think we answered most.